up, guys? Welcome back to Talkin' Hawkins, our Stranger Things in review. My name is Kyle. Thanks for checking out Talkin' Hawkins, guys. We are here for season 5, episode 3, the second to last episode of the first batch of episodes, guys. I'm recording these in 2025. These are going to go up probably later, so you guys can see them. I don't want to spoil anything, but guys, I'm going to give my Hawkins here, which is my favorite character, my Mouth Breather, which is my least favorite character, give it a score out of 10, and that's pretty much it. So appreciate you guys checking out Project Potter. Let's go. What are we doing, man? What are we doing with the show? What happened to the show I love? Look how they massacred my boy, is how I feel. Guys, why are they setting up traps like it's goddamn Kevin McAllister and the Wet Bandits in this family that is somehow connected, and they're almost kind of like the Wheelers, except they're a little goofy. And I forgot that Nancy's mom was even in the hospital, and her dad apparently clinging to life. She might be mute now. And it's like we're setting up these goofy traps. Guys, when Lucas, the Demogorgon comes in and Lucas says is throwing water balloons at him to get his attention and then says, "Catch this." I was like, what's going on in this season, guys? Who wrote this? And I'm like, if this was like a season 2 or a season 3, like a kind of a season that's kind of a downer, I'm like, okay, this is the final season of Stranger Things. This is what you came up with, guys? The final 7 or 8 or 9 episodes or whatever, and you've given me a couple of episodes of garbage in a row. And I'm like, again, what happened to the game I love? I don't understand what's going on. This doesn't feel like the same show. And I think back to season 1 and how amazing it was. And this is making me realize that seasons 2 through 4 are really, I mean, I didn't hate any of them, guys, but they're really better in retrospective because I'm like, this season is trash. This is a horrible season so far, and it's easily the worst one. I mean, I don't know what is going on, but it feels like it's a completely different tone and a completely different show, and it's not serious and nothing is earned. Guys, they put Max in at the end, who's like, I guess in the dream world or the upside down or whatever, wherever we are, wherever Holly Wheeler is, and she's dressed like Little Red Riding Hood, and they have like a weird pan in on Max, supposed to be this big reveal, and I'm like, this isn't earned at all, dude. Like, there was no indication that Max was still alive, and it's like they tried to do like an Avengers Endgame moment or something. They tried to be like, look, it's Max, and I'm like, that's just cheap fan service, dude, but it's not earned. You didn't give me an awesome moment. You didn't give me a Captain America like getting Mjolnir moment where you're like, holy shit, that was awesome. You just threw Max in there. And it's like, what does that even mean? Why did the Wheelers' parents get attacked? Why the hell if these kids with this kid dipshit Derek, how are they connected at all? We haven't gotten any more answers onto like what's going on. Why are these demi dogs or demigorgons coming in and taking these random kids and they can just come in now? And it's like you're telling me that the crew they broke into this family's house. This what looks like a nice family. They drugged all of them, right? Even the pie scene. It was like so weird. And Erica is doing it, and she's like, "I told you to eat your damn pie." And I'm like, "This," and then she stabs her violently, like American Dad style.
Don't worry, kiddo. This is gonna fix you right up.
And I was like, dude, this isn't the Stranger Things I know, right? Hashtag not my Stranger Things. I don't understand what we're doing, but they took such a different direction for the season, and it does not work for me at all, dude. And it's so goofy and dumb that it's like even the serious moments are kind of taking me out of it because I'm like none of it feels tense or earned. Even Will being like, "Hey mom, that was a stupid ass plan." Like, okay, no offense, but your plan was dumb as fuck and we shouldn't have done it. And it's like, what's going on, dude? Like he's like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Will, it's so dumb." And then the Demigorgon like escapes, guys, after their plan of throwing water balloons and Nancy with one shotgun with like a tracking device and Jonathan throws Molotov. And God, they are forcing Jonathan and Nancy so badly. Thank God for Murray Bauman coming back because he was the only one that was like, oh, I couldn't get ethanol. But he's like, hey, how about all this other stuff? And Dustin's like, I asked you for all the other stuff. And he's like, it wasn't a Christmas list. He's like, oh, yeah? Well, he's like, how about this is the most like guarded place and it was so hard for me to get stuff in there. And I got all this stuff in an afternoon. So he's like, if you don't like it, you can kiss my jolly white ass. And I was like, Murray Bauman, dude, great stuff. His character feels true, Steve's character feels true, and Nancy's character feels true. Everyone else feels like just a shell of themselves. And Mike has been okay, but like they're really focusing on Will. And guys, the season started with Vecna pumping whatever it is into Will, and that was awesome. And now we're just like, let's focus on Holly Wheeler. Why are we focusing on Holly Wheeler? And why is this random family of Derek where this kid's like, oh, it's probably all the farts I made in here. And it made me laugh because it was ridiculous. And then his sister comes in and she unplugs his Nintendo, his NES. And I'm like, first of all, don't be doing that. But it's like this family and they get drugged. And I'm like, none of their neighbors saw that an entire group of kids went in there. The lights were flashing. And then they knocked all of the family members out, dragged them, put them in rugs and dragged them into a van and then moved them to somewhere else. And I'm like, no one called the police. Steve Harrington's in the car and they're doing this stupid little signal thing and they're busting through backyards and breaking down fences and running over garden gnomes. And it's kind of like that Pizza Hut commercial or whatever it was when he's running through and nobody is like comes out and is like, what the fuck is going on? Nobody's calling the police. There's no police that show. Like, what's going on, dude? This season sucks ass, and I'm like getting angry at it now because it's like it's just a nightmare. Like, and not even a cool nightmare like Stranger Things. I think of season one and really two through four, and then I look at this and I'm like, this is an atrocity. This is horrible. I can't imagine that anyone is enjoying this show this season. So. We got one more episode, guys, in the first set of four. I really don't know how we could possibly recover because I mean most of the characters are just terrible and it's so goofy and the storyline is terrible and we haven't seen any of Vecna. We obviously saw Henry and they were like, oh, that's cool. Henry's Mr. What's It. And then we just kind of got away from that. And then there's this fat kid, Derek, and everyone hates Derek apparently. This kid hasn't done anything, but they're calling him dipshit Derek. And it's like, why? Because he likes to play video games and he farts in his room? Dude, we've all been there. We've all been there, dude. So I don't know. This season is a mess. And I cannot believe that this is the final season and you're giving 8 to 9 episodes, guys. And so far, we've had one okay episode and two absolute clunkers. And I just cannot believe that they're wasting the screen time. And another thing that's bothering me, guys, before I end my thoughts on this little episode, guys, the production value is really low because what do you mean that the characters are all in the same outfits all of the time? Hey, why is Elle in the upside down with Hopper and she's just wearing like her aerobics outfit, like her training outfit? So that to me shows, hey, Millie Bobby Brown, we got you in here. Don't worry about putting on different outfits. We're gonna record all of your stuff within like 2 hours, and then we're just gonna put it in the season. And it's like we're 3 episodes in now, guys. We're almost halfway through this season, the finale season, and we've seen Millie Bobby Brown in one outfit, and most of the characters have been in the same clothes. And I'm like, that shows me that you filmed for one day and then just put all the scenes together. And I don't understand where the production value is. And it's like, how many different times can we see all the different light bulbs in the house go out? And it's like that was really cool the first few times, but now it's like, what are we doing? So this season is pissing me off. I really love this show, and this season it feels like it's almost like mocking the people who waited for this. And I just can't imagine that this is what they came up with in that completely unearned Max moment. And we'll see where it goes. But I'm just like, it feels like a weird fantasy land. And why is she dressed as Little Red Riding Hood and all that stuff? So just another, I think, disaster episode. Hey guys, on a lighter note, let's go to my Hawkins hero, which is my favorite character. And guys, thank God for Natalia Dyer and Nancy Wheeler because Nancy has turned into one of the best characters and one of the most badass characters. She's the only one doing shit. Her and Steve Harrington. And really, this season is showing me, if nothing else, Jonathan sucks and that Steve and Nancy are both badasses and they're both hot and they should just be together because they're clearly meant for each other and they're awesome. And I love how Murray, I forgot about this, guys. Murray is like, hey, Jonathan, what's up? I thought you guys were hitting it off last time I saw you. Why aren't you together now? And then he's like, oh, well, you should do it because she's traumatized. And he's like, what better time than when life's reminder that life is fragile? And then they're like, oh, yeah, I'll do it soon. And he opens up the cassette tape and he's going to propose to Nancy. You guys don't even fucking like each other, dude. You're going to propose to this girl and you don't even have any chemistry and you don't speak. And I don't care if they're dating in real life. In this show, they suck. They have no chemistry at all. And it's like Steve Harrington and Nancy belong together. What are we doing? So Nancy Wheeler, amazing, badass. She's always got the gun. I love how she's like talking to them and she's like, "Hey, Santa Claus." She's like, "Shut up." And she's like, "Oh, I can hit any target." She's like, "No matter how big or small your potato sacks are." And then I like how Marie's like, "Oh, my potato sacks are pretty big actually." And Murray Bauman is great. Nancy Wheeler is great. Nancy is my favorite character. She's an absolute badass. She's a baddie. And I wish that more characters in the show, this season especially, were like her because she's been awesome. And I think she was once again the coolest, the baddest, and the one that's making I think the most sense and really a leader and taking charge. And Nancy Wheeler, a baddie to the end. Hey guys, that brings us to our mouth breather. I wish I could pick the whole cast because the whole cast has been terrible. Also, guys, another thing I just remembered when Will is like, "Oh, Vecna knows where we are." Yeah, because you're the fucking spy, my guy. Because you're still the spy. Why is Will still hanging out with this crew? Because remember, guys, when they taped young Will and they tried to blind him because they were like, "We can't let." It was at the time it was the Mind Flayer, which was Vecna. We didn't know that. They're like, we can't let the Mind Flayer know where we are. So we're going to tape Will in the shed. We're going to blindfold him. We're going to mind. Cool. That plan worked for the most part. Then phone rang, and then apparently the Mind Flayer figured it out, even though they have crazy powers and whatever. But this time Will's just walking around like he's just a kid, right? And they're like, "Oh, why did the Demogorgon turn around? That's weird. I can't know. He's tracked. Oh, it's southwest because we're southwest. Vecna knows where we are." Yeah, because it's you, Will. Stop being the spy, dude. It's crazy. Also, the 11 scene in infiltrating the mind, and then she's like, "Oh, the government has Vecta, or the military has Vecta." I'm like, "Well, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense." And then also the military guy and his army and stuff. That whole stuff isn't working for me either. But anyway, guys, this if nothing else, you're getting an entertaining review because this show is pissing me off this season. And like again, what happened to the game I love. But the mouth breather is undoubtedly gonna go to really, guys, let's just give it to the whole cast, okay? Because the whole cast, with the exception of Nancy and Steve, because everyone else in this season sucks this season, okay? Even Hopper isn't as good. And Joyce is a shell of herself, and she was badass and a leader, and now she's kind of in the back seat. And it's like you think that the team together would be working together and creating this beautiful final stand, and instead they're just all it's like they ran out of ideas for these characters and they don't know what to do anymore. And it's been too long and they're not kids anymore. And everyone's too serious now and everyone's trying to stand out. It didn't work for me. The whole cast, besides Nancy and Steve, mouth breathers, all of them. Guys, that brings us to the score. This one, it's a 5-8. It's a 5-8. I think it's back-to-back mid-five scores, guys. And, I didn't want to do that, but that's what the show has brought me to. Okay. I'm now annoyed. Okay. We got one more episode to go. And it's like, I don't know how they can possibly redeem because it's like, okay, with the Max reveal, it's supposed to be like, ooh, like everyone's supposed to clap and be like, wow, look at Max is back. But it's like, okay, so is Max now going to be like living in this dream world? Is Max going to have powers like Elle now? Are they going to have like a girl team up moment where Elle comes out and Max comes out and they're like, I knew it, and all that stuff. Like, it would have been so much more impactful to me when Vecna attacked Max if Max was like really messed up and she was blind and she like couldn't barely hear and she was in a wheelchair or something. And it's like, I don't wish bad things upon Max, guys, by any means. But that would have had real cause and effect and real consequence on the Vecna battle. And that's why it was so interesting because it's like, oh, they don't just save Max again. Like she gets messed up and then they're like worried and she actually dies. And it seems like, well, now she's just got superpowers maybe. And it's like I don't know, man. And again, the L and Hopper interrogation of this grunt was okay, but then it's just like, oh, there's something behind that door. I don't want to know. But L's walking through in her one outfit, and I'm just like, it looks so out of place and it looks lazy. And it's like, what happened to the L in the gown? Guys, when she's going into the dark space and it's like there's reflections and the Demigorgon and there's tension building. Now it's just like, oh, just throw her into a scene that's not even like a dream-like sequence. It's just like a regular scene, and she's just walking around. Looks like they just like Photoshop overlaid her in there. And I'm just like, the show has lost the magic for me, okay? And I think I don't even want to say I think they can right the ship because I'm not sure anymore. I thought this episode would be really good and we bounce back and it's like instead we just torture this poor family and then that kid wakes up and he's like, please don't hurt me anymore. And they're like, why is he awake? And it's like, because this kid eats all the time, dude. Okay, you need more than a little dose or a little pie to take out dipshit Derek because dipshit Derek he devours plates, okay? He puts in the work. You got to do more than that. So, guys, a bad, terrible episode. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm speechless. But another just bad episode to what has been easily the worst season so far. All right, guys, that is another episode in the books. If nothing else, I hope you guys have enjoyed my rant and enjoyed the pain that the show is causing me. Maybe they can right the ship, but we'll see where they go. I 3 episodes in, guys. We have one more before the break, and I'm sure it's going to end on some cliffhanger or something, but like, I don't know how they can just like suddenly, are they going to tell an incredible story in the last 4 or 5 episodes? Probably not. I don't know how they can possibly change this around because they haven't built any tension. They haven't built any momentum into these episodes. So we'll see what's going on with Max. She's probably going to have some sort of superpowers or be crazy powerful or anything now, but either way, guys, I appreciate you checking out Project Potter. Thanks for checking out Talkin' Hawkins or Stranger Things in review. Um, we'll see how the rest of the ride goes. But until next time, guys, appreciate you. Peace.